Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about the NFL draft. Free agency for the Cowboys is pretty much over. Now it's just little tidbits here and there, maybe some more extensions on some of their own players. But for the most part, they're done with it. Focus is now shifted back towards the NFL draft. Pro days are starting to wind down, and now we have the visits, the workouts, and these sorts of things. So I'm going to give you the very latest on what I am hearing. Okay, a lot of this is through a lot of my sources, like I've said before. We broke the news there on what they were looking for with Brandon Cooks, and I have a lot of good information through a lot of my contacts, and we're going to break down who the Cowboys are interested in, some of the guys that are kind of flying under the radar. So if you want to know who the Cowboys are interested in, this is the right spot. No fluff, no bullshit. Camo time, here we go. Boom, motherfuckers. All right. Here we go, baby. We're gonna get right into it. A lot of the names are starting to come out. I'm gonna give you the real here, okay? Cornerbacks, okay? Tyreek Stevenson. Talked about him very early on in my preview towards this NFL draft. Cowboys have high interest in here. He hits all the marks, the measurables. Cowboys are also bringing in Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. For me, of those two, Tariq Stevenson would probably be the guy I would go with. I think this is more of a Dan Quinn makeup. He's got all the body armor, everything like that. Emmanuel Forbes is kind of light for me. I mean, he's good, and he should be good at the next level. But I think for what Dan Quinn is looking for, I think Tariq Stevenson out of Miami is a guy to keep an eye on. Okay. Guards. Cowboys are hunting guards. They are looking. Okay. This whole notion of we're gonna move Terrence Steele. This is chum in the water. It's smoke and mirrors. Okay. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. It's not gonna happen. And it will be, in fact, Tyron Smith who will be your swing tackle. So they want to keep Tyler Smith at left tackle. They want to figure out that left guard position. They've done a good job by bringing in a free agent here out of the Jets, former third-round pick, Chuma. So he'll be there. He's going to compete with the rookie that they're going to draft. A couple names to keep an eye on, guys. Okay, Stephenville out of TCU. Bringing him in. Yeah, good player, TCU program. Only knock that I have on him is that I would like to see more power out of him. You know what I mean? So he's one of the hot names that you see in drafts. Can you get him in the second? I don't think he'll be there when the Cowboys go to pick. So where the Cowboys are drafting, they're probably going to have to draft a round or two ahead. Okay, so think about the draft when we had we were at the bottom, with Travis Frederick. Okay. Oh, we drafted this guy. This guy could have been had in the third round. You need to start thinking about. You need to start preparing mentally for a name that will be there at 26, and if they do trade down, those types of names. Okay, you might hear a name where you're programmed by the mainstream media to be like, whoa, this guy should have been a third round pick, and this kind of stupid shit, right? There's a lot of brainwashing out there, right? So keep an eye on that there. So Steve Avila is one of them. A name to really keep an eye on, Antonio Mafi out of UCLA. And I tweeted it about him. Cowboys had a visit with him. Second round, could be there in the first. Okay, from what I've heard, he's doing really well in interviews. Comes across very, very professional, and just a guy who's in here who can be a plug and play guy. This is not a guy that you're gonna have to get into a strengthening program. This is not a guy who you're gonna have to slowly bring him along. A lot of teams are actually looking at him, and they're looking at him very early. So that, like I said, could be one of those names that you could hear there. Antonio Mafi, guard, offensive lineman out of UCLA. The other thing about it too, Mike McCarthy loves the UCLA program, so that is another check mark there. So keep an eye on him. If I were a betting man, I think that the Cowboys, if it were between Mafi and Avila, I think they would go Mafi. You know what I mean? Oh, he could be had later. You got to break away from the rankings, the mainstream media, content creator, mock drafts. It's all different. This draft class, from what I've been told, expect a lot of trades, deals, wheeling and dealing in this draft. A lot of the GMs, scouts don't like this draft class, and this is something that I've been saying all along. It dries up very quickly after the third round. I mean, very, very quickly. So it's not deep. Um, I mean, it may be deep in some other positions, but not the not the ones that count. Okay. Um, another a couple other guards here to keep an eye on. Juice Scruggs, positional flex out of Penn State. Um, he's not getting a lot of the mainstream media, uh, acknowledgement, but in the inner circles of the scouting community, GMs and regional scouts, they are very, very high on Juice Scruggs out of Penn State. He's gonna be like one of these kind of like, and ironically, coincidentally, kind of like a Connor, McGovern. Same program. He could be one of these guys that if he's sitting there in the third round, he could be a guy that the Cowboys pick up. They like him at guard, and high interest there with him. They've met with him. Mark Evans, very versatile offensive lineman out of UAPB. Okay, Cowboys met with him extensively. Offensive tackle, offensive guard. A lot of teams have been looking at him actually as a center, as a guard. He has tackle. He played tackle there primarily, but a lot of teams are looking at him interior. Okay, so kind of hits the marks there. UAPB for me. Mark Evans out of that program there. Now, yeah, the level of competition. UAPB, they actually played against a couple of SEC teams, so he has seen higher competition. So don't let the school fool you. I think this would be right there in the fourth or fifth round. Mark Evans, if you're looking at a flexible offensive lineman, Cowboys have interest in there. Okay, let's talk about wide receiver. All right, what am I hearing? What am I thinking the Cowboys are going to end up doing? Okay, when you look at the list of the 30 guys, what you have to keep in mind is, and I think a lot of fans get carried away with this, is that, if they're on the 30 list, these are the guys that have interest. Half the time, this 30 list is to scratch a player off. Like bring him in one more time. Let's make sure that we're not going to draft this guy. Let's make sure we don't want this guy. So, when you look at the list, you're going to have players in here that are more undrafted kind of guys that maybe they want to make a priority free agent. There's going to be some guys mixed in there that they want to scratch off. Not necessarily, we definitely have high interest in here. Case in point for me, Quinn Johnson versus Josh Downs. Okay, Quinn Johnson, he's getting a lot of, he's kind of falling on draft boards. Didn't have a really good pro day, dropped passes, and kind of, is he going to fold when the bright lights come on? So that's been a question around the league circles. Is he going to be one of these guys that flounders when the bright lights come on? A lot of teams are kind of scared about that, being compared towards a little bit of a Cortland Sutton type of player, a guy who's like, he'll be okay, but he's not going to be like a number one, somebody that's going to really blow your socks off. Okay, so Quentin Johnson versus Josh Downs. You got Josh Downs out of North Carolina. I would take him. Josh Downs, I think you can get him maybe in the second, if you want to get him there. Big playability, and the Cowboys have high interest in him. Josh Downs, the wide receiver out of North Carolina. Okay, looking at my list here, other players that they have visited with high interest. They do have some quarterbacks sprinkled in here. They've met with Sean Clifford, quarterback out of Penn State. You're probably looking at a late round, undrafted kind of guy. Clayton Tune, quarterback out of Houston. Undrafted kind of guy. Houston program, not all that good. So you're looking at him as more of maybe a priority free agent. Bring him to camp, see if he can be, a diamond in the rough. So a couple quarterbacks in here in this list. Running back, from what I've been told, they're really going to rely on Tony Pollard here significantly, a lot. He's going to get a lot of the carries, and Ronald Jones is going to be in there to clean it up. So it does not sound, from what I've been hearing, that they're gonna be in on a running back very early. So Bijan, he's gonna go very early. You know what I mean? A lot of people are having him in the 20s. He's not gonna be there. Jahmyr Gibbs is more likely to be the running back that could be there. But if he's there, it's possible the Cowboys will pass on him and go a different direction. A player to keep an eye on that we're waiting for confirmation, Will McDonald, Iowa State defensive end, outside linebacker type. Cowboys are looking for a roadmap of succession to DeMarcus Lawrence, and they kind of want to get ahead of it. So high interest there in Will McDonald. I think that is actually the target there in the first round. Even hearing that teams may move up to get him. Like I said, this is a draft where a lot of teams are already talking about moving up to grab players. This is not a draft where you're gonna roll back, accumulate picks for a weak draft class. That's not gonna happen. Teams are gonna be trading up. There's gonna be a lot of trading in this draft. So you want Will McDonald? Cowboys have high interest in here. They worked him out. Oh, you can get him in the second round. No, they're looking at him early. Cowboys are looking at Will McDonald early, right there at 26. But he's getting a big bump here. Doing really good with the workouts, the interviews. So he's gonna go early, man. Okay. Jonathan Mingo, wide receiver. Cowboys met with him. Ole Miss. I'm just not a big fan of the Ole Miss wide receiver program at all. So that one, if you want a later round kind of guy, Jonathan Mingo might be your cup of tea. Tight ends. They've brought in a couple here. These are like late round kind of guys. Like think about Sean McEwen, these types of guys. The fan driven mock drafts. Kincaid, this and that. They're not gonna do that. They're not. Not from what I've heard. You know what I mean? This is from various sources that I trust here. Depth guys. They brought in a safety out of Ohio State, Tanner McAllister. He's got to keep an eye on probably like a day 3 type of safety. You want to bring him in here. Defensive tackle. Okay, let's talk about that. Overall, I'm hearing Jalen Carter is a guy that could fall. Scouts are saying they're questioning: is he going to be Albert Hainsworth? Is he going to be Ndamukong Suh? What type of defensive tackle is he going to be? A lot of teams got scared away by his workout. The gaining weight looked very sloppy. So there's a lot of teams that are concerned about that. It's going to take a team to roll the dice, and hopefully he'll be what he was at Georgia. So he could be a guy that slides. Some teams are saying that he will be the player that will slide. Jalen Carter, defensive tackle. For the Cowboys, they're taking a look at Jacqueline Roy. This is another player that I talked about way early in January as far as like players that the Cowboys could consider. I've been a fan of him. And I like to see the Cowboys are bringing him in for a 30 visit. Perfect. I love it. I think he does everything that you want there in the middle. And we got to get better there. Outside of Osa Digizua, it's Jonathan Hankins. Obviously, he's your big one tech. But outside of that, your pressure guys, they're not there. You know what I mean? They let Watkins go. So obviously they want to go another direction there at defensive tackle. So they're going to probably throw another pick there at defensive tackle until they get it right. From the list here that I've looked at, from what I'm hearing, the linebacker is not a high need for the Cowboys. They haven't brought one in yet for a 30 visit, but that's not to say that you won't see a Sanders or a Jack Campbell pop up on here, or another one for a later round, later round kind of guys, or possibly just these type of guys that can come in here and compete for special teams, kind of like a Devin Harper type of guy. Think about that. So that being said, the Cowboys, from everything that I've heard so far as we head into the final stretch here in April, they want a succession plan here for DeMarcus Lawrence. We have Sam Williams, we have Micah Parsons, but you need another pressure guy. Cowboys felt that when DeMarcus Lawrence was out, there was a stretch there where Micah Parsons kind of had a little bit of a sack drop, kind of hit a sophomore wall, and the pressures and sacks weren't coming. The sacks are game-changing type of players for game. They want another body in here. They want another guy in here. So keep an eye on the edge rusher, Will McDonald, okay, for the Cowboys. And it might be that the Cowboys maybe do, in fact, move up to go get him. Maybe they give up a third, move up, and grab him. But that's a guy that they like there. I think if he's gone, Cowboys are going to look at the guard position, whether that's Steve Avila or Antonio Mafi. I think these guys are two players that the Cowboys are really looking at early, and they can get it done, both plug and play. But for me, I'm more of a fan of Mafi myself. I think this guy is just built for the position, a mauler, really good in run support. So, and that's what this team has been talking about, right? We need to improve the running game and this sort of thing. This is what McCarthy wants to do more of. He doesn't want to be slinging the ball around. So you got to shore that up. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking right now. We'll see what other names come down the pike here, but those are the names. That's what I'm hearing, and take that with what you will. But that's what we have right now, guys. Continue to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you Monday for the next mock draft. Peace.